So, okay, so I believe we are on the air now. Okay,
Right.
so hello, this is Wmpyr. Joining me today once again, special guest starring Ryck, one of the co-creators of this T-shirt.
You're so kind to wear that.
The card game Unruly Bastards. Please check it out. It is a crazy, fun, exciting card game. So, where can they go? You guys have a website, right?
We do, but all it is right now, we're taking pre-orders, and in fact, we're waiting. We had a delay in our recent ordering or production that came in, so it got pushed back a little bit longer, unfortunately. But yeah, you can go to unrulybastards.com.
Awesome.
And you can check out the website there, and we have some. Well, I shouldn't say. I can't say it right at the moment. So
okay, yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
all right. There's a video on there, right, on the website that kind of gives people an idea of what the game's about, and like you're in it and stuff. Emily's in it, Dave's in it. The three of you guys that made the game are in it. That's awesome. That is. So anyway, check out the video. Check out the website. You know. So for today. We wanted something exciting to talk about for you guys, so we mentioned 3 movies, right? So we went and did our homework. You saw the 3, I saw the 3. What are they? Fight Club, Dune, and Downsizing, right?
Yep.
So those are the 3 movies. They have nothing to do with each other, right? They're all over the place. And so I don't even know where to start. So let's okay. So out of the 3. You said Downsizing surprised you.
Yeah.
Can you say one was like your favorite out of the 3, or strongest impression?
Man, there's such a wide spectrum of diversity in those 3 movies. It's hard to pinpoint which is my favorite. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, gun to head, I'm gonna have to go with Fight Club just because it's so brilliant. It's just brilliant on every level.
After all these years, you've seen it before.
Yep.
And you've seen it multiple times before.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you see it again.
Oh, he froze. Sorry. Hold on.
And let's see. Hopefully, he'll be back. Okay, you're back.
Right.
All right. So still good. Fight Club. Okay. Yeah. What I'm surprised is that you like this, and for you, you don't like fighting. You don't like violence.
I don't.
Dude, it's called Fight Club.
I know. That's how good it is. I can even see past that to the other stuff, because I cringe like a little girl when I see people get hit or there's blood. And the same thing pounding on, what's his name, Jared Leto.
Yeah.
That makes me like cringe, and his face is all jacked up afterwards.
Right.
That's cringe. But the rest of it, you know.
Yeah, my sister and her husband Rob, when they invite you to watch UFC and stuff, they say that you turn your head, you know, in the fights and stuff. So you know, you have a hard time watching fights, and I mean that is a big part of it. It's called the
title. Right.
Not just that. I mean, okay, so I understand the physical violence, but there's a lot of like philosophy and other stuff in here. But if you think about the stuff that they're talking,
oh, you froze again.
What you know, like he says, self-improvement is masturbation, right? So what is he talking about? He's saying self-destruction. Now that's kind of like the key. And to me, you're not into that. I'm not into that. You're like the opposite of that. So what is the appeal of, how are you able to enjoy this?
All right. Well, that's a lot to answer. Okay. Although I get tripped out by the blood, I appreciate the artistry behind it. You know what I mean? Like the mastery of the body, the self, the mind, the fighting tactics, just the discipline it takes to do all that. And so that's kind of what I do with Fight Club. Like, I appreciate the editing, the cuts, the way they had to format every scene to keep you guessing on who Tyler Durden really is. And the mastery of that big reveal at the end, and to keep it kind of hidden, even though he says, I am Tyler's whatever. He says it, or he tells you, I am this. And you're like, okay, cool. But you think it's just metaphorical.
Right.
You know? So I kind of look at the mastery of the cinematography, the words, the way they had to shoot things, and just the brilliance of the characters acting. So I try to focus on that. And when there's pulp scenes of getting fight, I just kind of go, ah. I take it along with the actor. I'm like, oh God, this is painful. But that's what I focus on.
Okay, so well, remember when they first meet, right? His apartment gets blown up, right?
Yeah.
Seriously, gets blown up. He needs a place to stay, and he calls Marla, the girl, first, but then you know, he decides to forget it, and he calls Tyler, right? And they hang out at some shady bar, right? And then afterwards, when they go outside, the famous iconic scene where he goes, "I want you to hit me as hard as you can." Now, imagine that's you. You're there with this crazy guy, and this crazy guy tells you that. How would you respond to that, Ryck?
I would probably laugh. I would laugh, a nervous giggle like a little girl. I was like, dude, I'm not going to punch you. One, I know I would break my hand.
Okay.
I've never been in a fight. I've never thrown a punch to hit somebody in the face on purpose anyway.
Yeah.
So I would know. One, I wouldn't be drunk. I don't drink. But two, I would just probably laugh and giggle my way out of it.
When he says, how much could you know about yourself if you've never been in a fight, right?
Yeah.
That was one of his things. He's like, "I never been in a fight. You never been in a fight. Well, we should do it. We only live once. How could you go living life and never have done it?" kind of thing, right? That was kind of his reasoning. He's like, I'm in the mood. Let's just do it quick. You know, it was a
right.
What do you think about that?
I actually thought about that because I'm like, man, I've never been in a fight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So I thought about what he said, and I guess that's true. But then I realized that's true about everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never lost a parent, if you've never lost a dog, if you've never gone skiing, if you've never jumped out of an airplane,
right?
How do you know you're truly alive? And it's like, that's just one frequency in a whole spectrum of life choices.
Right.
So, but I mean, there is something primal about it.
Yeah.
So, I thought about that and I was like, wow, but part of me kind of hopes I never do get in a fight though, in a weird way. I think it would be interesting to see what would happen, but part of me hopes I never have to experience that because I don't want to cause harm to somebody, and I sure as hell don't want to get hit in the face. You know what I mean? So it's I don't know. How about you? What's your take on this? Because I know that you, I mean, dude, you're a martial artist.
Yeah.
There. So like, how did you feel about all that? Like what we just talked about. Like, what's your perspective on that?
You know what's funny is you know he meets Tyler and they kind of like fight each other, and then afterwards they go to his place and it's the house on Paper Street, right? That crazy house that they're basically squatting on. When I was living in Dallas, and this was towards the end of what I call my training, because I you know you're learning martial arts and you're learning, and that's a never-ending thing. But at some point, I felt like, okay, this is kind of like where I graduate. So
sure,
at least the schooling part, you know, like
I got you.
Yeah, classes, schools, that part. When I felt that was the end, that was right when I was living in Dallas, and at the time I was training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I was living in really terrible apartments, and I had a roommate. We were living literally in Section 8 is the people from the hurricane that lost their homes in Louisiana were brought over to Texas.
Okay.
And these unfortunate people, and some of these people were, you know, come from a very poor and crime, you know, type environment, and they brought that with them. And so, you know, it was really nasty areas that I was living in. Oh, wow. And I was working all these crazy jobs, like all these part-time jobs, kind of like Tyler Durden was.
Right.
and my roommate was working a corporate job, so he was like the other guy, Jack, the main character, and I was the crazy Tyler. So, you know, I would be hanging around in swimming pools, you know, during the day, and people would ask me like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, I'm an inspector of swimming pools, you know, just make something up. But really, I trained in martial arts to the point where my body was like really hurt. So I go to the hot tub and just chill out. And then I would be working those part-time jobs at night, you know? So watching this brings me to that time. Yeah, so I feel like I kind of lived a milder version of that, you know?
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of parallels in what you just explained, so that makes perfect sense.
And what's crazy is like, you know, Brad Pitt's character was the ideal, the alpha male, the whatever. So he dressed like a Hollywood celebrity, right? With the shades and the
crazy, and the crazy outfits and the right.
So I dressed like that at that time too.
Is that right?
My shirt was like unbuttoned to like down here. I had like cufflinks, you know.
Nice.
I walked around Chinatown. I felt like I was the king of Chinatown in Dallas. If you know, it's a small Chinatown, but yeah, I walked around like I ruled the place. Yeah, like
nice. Right. The dawn just say, "What's up?"
Yeah. It was crazy times, and I had some crazy experiences there too during those times. But yeah.
Let me ask you this: did you ever make soap in a bathtub?
No, not that. And I did have some shady friends, like really, you know, scary, bad, like. You know, they were probably all involved in drugs and stuff like that, and some scary stuff, you know, because I lived there in the neighborhood, you know.
Right. How long were you there for, roughly?
2 years.
Damn, that's a hard 2 years.
Yeah. 2 years, 2.5 years. At the end, we kind of had a falling out with my roommate, and then I left to San Antonio and kind of continued that a little bit. Okay. But I was now ready to start my own martial arts school.
Right.
And move on, but yeah. So yeah, it's you know, when you experience that level of life, of where life is cheap, you know, anyone could get gunned down, or you know, you see this person and they're just walking home from the local bar like drunk out of their mind. They're just trying to get laid. You know, and you know, I'm walking from the gym or from the swimming pool back to my apartment, and I just see this left and right. There's prostitutes here. I see like a young kid that, you know, I want to say was prostituting herself, you know, or just scary stuff like that, you know. And there's a police station right there, you know, and it is just, yeah, some of the stuff I saw was scary, but part of that was like, if I'm gonna do martial arts, if I'm gonna do self-defense, if I'm gonna do fighting, I need to be able to have that kind of experience, right?
Well, for sure, like raw survival, basically. I mean, if you're prostituting next to a police station, you need that money. You know what I'm saying? Like that's some ballsy moves, no pun intended. But wow, so I feel you that. Yeah, you kind of got to get in the nitty gritty.
Well, it's exactly what Tyler said, because like if you're a martial arts guy, you're teaching self-defense. You never had to use it,
right?
Right. So I put myself in those positions, you know, and I would go like jogging at night.
You're looking for trouble.
in those areas, you know, I would go jogging at night, you know, just to experience that. And have you seen Kick-Ass?
Oh yeah, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
A long time ago. That was a great movie.
So it's like a regular person trying to be a superhero,
right? So
at night, and my nighttime jogs, that's my mentality, that I am patrolling the streets here. So I did that, you know, for a little while. I didn't wear anything, but I wore all black to blend in if I have to.
Right. That's crazy. That's a different mindset right there.
but
you had the skills to back it up, though. Like I could never do that. I'd get stabbed and die.
Skill can only get you so far. I'll tell you that.
Well, not having any skill.
Yeah.
At least you could defend yourself, do some fighting or something. So
now, what do you think about? Like, do you think this is a spiritual movie?
Oh, that's a great question. Wow. Okay, I'm thrown off guard on that. I did not expect that one. I guess in some ways, more of an introspective spiritually, because it does make you think, and it does kind of talk about like whether you just do the superficial upgrades or if you actually break yourself down and rebuild yourself as you are. So in that respect, I think there is some kind of spiritual aspects of it. I mean, not straight up like dogma or anything like that, but yeah, I think I'd have to think about it for a few more minutes there to kind of pinpoint it. But yeah, I take it you do.
Well, the funny thing is, like, the character Tyler Durden, if he saw like people like going to church or praying or whatever, he would probably, you know, slap them or think it was silly. So it's almost like he's anti that. But if you look at the main character, who actually is Tyler Durden, right? It's the same guy.
Right.
That guy, he can't sleep because he has insomnia. He, you know, hates his job, hates his boss. I mean, he kind of like just living as a shell of a human being. So he lost his spirituality, right? And I feel like in the movie, then that's him trying to get it back. He's trying to feel alive again, right?
Right.
He's lost his spirit. So essentially, I do think it is actually a very spiritual movie where they were saying that the materials you own end up owning you. And,
right.
You know, so where is the true happiness? What is real? What really matters to you? What really doesn't? Right. And he also said that Tyler has a way of completely ignoring stuff that doesn't matter, like totally ignoring, like
sociopathically ignoring it, right?
but what that truly doesn't matter, he's like, you can really let it slide, you know. You see regular people running around worried and you know, they're having phobias and fears, and they're like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, you know, and you know, and you're like, dude, just let it go. Well, Tyler's the kind of guy who would just, like Navy SEAL, right? He'd jump in at first, ask questions later. So,
for sure.
So in that sense, do you think maybe it is actually kind of a...
Yeah, you pinpointed what I was trying to formulate. You nailed it. You nailed it from your very first sentence about how he kind of lost his individuality and in essence spirituality, and then Tyler was kind of like the id that would fill that and kind of rebuild him back up, and kind of did. Right. Because at the end, he kind of comes back. He's like, "Holy shit, I'm somewhere in between this." Basically, but he's like, wait a minute, and he's trying to figure out who the hell's Tyler Durden? Like, you are, and he's like, oh shit, and he kind of freaks out. And it was kind of neat though. Although I have to wonder, like, at the very end, is he in a building that's going to explode as well, or are they just watching everything explode around him, or was their building set to go off as well, and we didn't see that part?
Yeah, that's a good question. From my understanding, the book. Did you read the book?
No, I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know it was a book.
Okay.
I didn't even know that. So
I didn't read the book, but in the book, I think he was supposed to die and become a martyr. That was part of the, you know, the Project Mayhem.
Sure, that makes sense.
But in the movie, he actually says front row seats to, you know, what's happening. So I don't think the building they were in was going to go down.
Okay, because see, that's what I thought too. But that could also be taken of like he's at front row seats, meaning he's at ground zero. Because at the end, when the cronies are running off into the elevator, they go, "Holy shit, man, he's staying!" And they go, "Boo!" and they go down. So I was like, "Why are they concerned he's staying? Why are they so hurried to get out of there? Was that building supposed to go off too?" But you never see it explode.
Right.
And I was like, that's kind of a weird twist. Like he finally finds who he is, but then immediately dies and then becomes a martyr. So I'm kind of glad to see the book does that. It sort of brings it full circle and completes. So thanks for that tidbit. That's good to know.
Maybe it makes more sense with the book. In the movie, I don't think so, because if he did, he would have probably at least get her to leave, right?
Right. That. I wonder if she was his figment of his as well.
Yeah,
but I don't think so. But that kind of made me go, wait a minute. But then also, he blew himself through the neck. He should have been dead.
Yeah. Cheek though, right?
That's true. That's true. It's cheek, right? Yeah, he turned it sideways. Yeah.
Dude, that's
nasty.
I mean, how can you know that that's not going to affect, you know, shatter all of this? You know, the impact can. I mean, Yeah,
Right?
I mean, and all this can burn up. The extreme heat, and I don't know, but I mean, I don't think it's that easy of a where you could just go, okay, I'm just gonna go through the cheek and I'll be fine. I don't think it's that easy, man.
No, I think he got super duper lucky because that should have blown his whole back of his head out. But yeah, that was
his ears might have been just gone too, right?
Yeah, just from the shock of the sound, for sure. They never talk about that in movies, though.
Yeah, but hey, it is a movie.
Right. No, but that's a really good point about it being a spiritual movie, because there is that. I never really kind of formulated that in a concrete fashion. That's a cool perspective. I like that.
What was kind of cool was the first half. I felt like he's desperately looking for himself, trying to. So he goes and it's really a dickish move, right? To go to those. Not self-help, but those help meetings, right? And pretend like you have cancer or whatever, and do that. That's really it says he's a jerk, but I never got that vibe from the guy. I thought, oh man, that's kind of funny, or he's kind of cool for doing that. He's very anti-normal,
Right.
So in a way that was cool, but if you really think about it, that's not cool at all, right?
No, it's kind of a dick move. I mean, he did it to be a dick. He did it just because he was so in need of feeling anything and getting some kind of vindication of humanity that he was like, I'll just go to these things and pretend I have testicular cancer or I'm dying of cancer or whatever. And it's like, dude, you can't just do that.
He was that numb, right?
Yeah,
He was that like, like a zombie walking through life.
Right.
Yeah. But then he finds that wasn't the answer. There was kind of an excuse with the girl coming in and ruin it for him.
Right. That forced him to other things.
And then he got into Fight Club, and he really enjoys Fight Club. He feels alive. It's extreme, whatever. And he starts making action to change his life around, right? In extreme ways. But then when they start going into Project Mayhem, they're terrorists, right? That's a terrorist organization, and they are criminals, and they are that's a cult also.
Yeah.
Right, where they all shave their heads and they all talk like in sync and stuff, and they're all the same stuff. That is a cult. And you notice by that time he separates from that. He created it, but so I think
everybody's like, what's going on with this? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he's like, you guys are idiots for doing this. Look, a guy died. Bob dies because of you. What were you thinking? And they're all like, you told us to do it.
Right.
But that also to me says once again that this is a guy looking to, find himself, and he's saying that's not the way to do it.
Right, exactly. Right. He went from one side and the pendulum swang to the other side. Right. On the middle ground of the end. It's like, holy cow. Yeah.
So I guess either way, you don't you don't want to fall into, the way, right? And go crazy with that, because once again you're going to be like a brainwashed follower, right? So
his name is Robert Paulson. Speaking of cults. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, I think you realize that it's good to have both personalities in your quiver, but you can't just have one tool. You got to have a couple of diversity there. So yeah.
I'm so surprised Hollywood made this movie, because it's so anti-Hollywood.
Right. Yeah. The late '90s though brought about some of the best movies.
Like what?
Well, okay, this one, Fight Club.
Yeah.
The Matrix.
Oh,
99 as well.
Yeah.
Being John Malkovich, just like there's a bunch of really not apocalyptic, but almost like they went, fuck it, the world could end in 2000. We don't even know. Y2K, who knows what? Let's make some good movies.
Right.
I can only think of those three right now, but there's just a plethora of good movies at the end of the 90s. And they still hold up, which is amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of 80s movies to me don't, but like Matrix still holds up, Fight Club still holds up. Being John Malkovich, Fisher King, all those kind of mid-90s to late 90s movies, just like they're solid. They're just solid films.
That's
you don't get that anymore. It's a lot more fluff right now, but
yeah.
That's my opinion.
Oh man, yeah. Some of today's movies just makes me go to independent, foreign, B movies, cult movies. It makes me turn the other way for sure.
Right, right.
Well, you know what? So Downsizing is a new movie, actually.
That's true, right? Yeah, relatively new. Yeah, but see, it wasn't a big hit in the box office.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't made.
I see why, because it actually pointed out some stuff that people don't want to see. They want the fairy tale fluff, happy ending, popcorn, bubble gum. Let's go home. And this one actually was like quirky, weird.
Yeah,
but it had some really brilliant points that were so subtly expressed that I thought was like, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I was really surprised by it. I don't know.
Well, okay, so in the spoiler alert for all of this stuff.
Oh,
in the end, right? Where Matt Damon goes to the original village, sees the founder, everything, and they're all going to go into the tunnel, right?
Right.
Because he's so disappointed in humanity, right? So he's leaving. So everyone's going in, and they're going to be locked in a vault. And Matt Damon's like, okay, I'm going to go. And the people he's with are like, don't go. And he's like, no, I want to do this. Would you go, Ryck? Or would you have stayed?
Okay. Initially, I think I would have went.
Oh, yeah.
But then once the movie ended and I thought about it, I decided no.
Okay. So why did you go? Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is going to get a little convoluted, and that's me saying this about me. See if you can bear with me here. Okay. What I liked about it is like the downsizing idea was to conserve resources and materials. But what happened is they brought the same mentality into the little world where Christopher Waltz was like, hey, man, we got to import some cigars and some whiskey. And basically they didn't downsize their greed or need. They just downsized their body.
Right.
So, but they thought they were doing to help the environment.
Yeah.
And the original people in the colony was like, okay, the next thing we need to do is just go into hiding and for 8,000 years until the environment clears up. So like it showed me that there's always going to be people, no matter what you do, that are going to be doomsdayers. Those that don't give a flying shit about it and they're going to party like Christopher Waltz did. And those that are torn in between, like Matt Damon, like I want to help out, but this isn't the way, running away from it or trying to change one little thing, not the personality, but the environment isn't going to do it. And he realized I can help people with the hurt leg and with this and that while we're still here. Let's make the best of what we got while we're here instead of running and hiding for 8,000 years. So when I realized that, I was like, I think I would have stayed because you actually can make a difference now. So there is a better future. Okay. So I kind of was like back and forth on that one. The girl was really cute. I would say for her anyway.
The founder gave up hope, right? I mean, he was crying and he was like really angry at humanity. And that's why he went in, right?
Right.
So you're saying you still have hope.
Yes. Maybe not for. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do in some respects. And it's like kind of like Matt Damon realized like I can't do what I wanted to do, but I can help out in other ways. So I realized that we may not be able to save the planet for the long term.
Right.
But if we can help out for the next couple generations, then yeah. So I have hope in that there is still hope.
Right.
I don't know. I don't have a lot of positivity about our future on the planet, but I still have to have a little bit of hope that there is still hope. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Okay.
What would you have done? Would you have gone or would you have stayed?
It seemed to make sense to go, but then from a security standpoint, because that's the way I think, right?
Sure.
When the dude, the scientist, right? Was he a Swedish scientist, whatever? Right. A Scandinavian scientist. That dude, when he came to the village, the first thing I noticed is everyone's clapping, everyone's like praising him and everything. So to me, it was kind of like he's like a god, right? Okay, maybe he's a great human being that he won't abuse his power, right? So maybe he's great, but he's not the youngest guy either. Somewhere along the line, he might pass away while we're down there in the vault.
Oh, for sure.
If he does pass away, the next person may not be as cool as he is. They might be like a freaking tyrant, right? So then, you know, who gets to decide who gets to become the next, and how are they going to rule the vault, you know, and all that. I mean, you know, at any point it could turn into a cult. At any point it could turn into, okay, we're just going to become cannibals, or, you know, I don't know what. So then I started thinking, you know, it can't, I didn't like the setup there.
Right. No, for sure. For sure. There's no checks and balances. It's too isolated.
No, or at least
checks and balances.
They don't show it to you in the, maybe there is, but I didn't see much in
no, it's only 8,000 people or whatever like that. Like that's, I mean, it's a fair chunk of people, but that's still susceptible to, like I said, when he dies, some asshole guy could come in who's big and strong, and smart enough to know how to rule people, but kind of a sociopath, and boom, you got 70 years of dark ages. You know what I mean? Until that guy gets overtaken, and then maybe 1,000 years later, someone benevolent will come back, but you're going to have your cycles in there as well.
Exactly.
Right. So even though you're running from the problem, you are just a microcosm of it.
Right.
That's what I realized. Like, that's the one part. There's always going to be people going, "Oh, we know the answer." No, you don't. You don't. You think you do, but you can't. You can't just hide away, and then you also can't just party it up. You got to find some happy medium. So I thought there was beautiful exposition on that. With a little bit of quirky humor and like, and a play on downsizing. So I was like, this is a really quirky movie, but like I said, pleasantly surprised.
Did you feel like you could, like, I felt like I could relate to the Fight Club movie a lot.
Right.
Did you feel like you could relate to a Matt Damon's character?
Yeah, I do, because I have a lot of angst about, like, oh my God, I'm using too much plastic, or you know, I'm not doing enough gardening, not doing enough composting, or like I'm trying to balance being happy with trying to be helpful and not go super doomsday. But it's a lot of work to keep that middle ground in balance, because a lot of things can throw you off.
Right.
Like presidents and stuff like that. So, yeah, but I definitely can relate to his character, because I feel a lot of his angst.
And remember, he's all excited about this, right? About this idea, and he's still, you know, he's not the first generation to do it, but he still seems kind of like on the newer side.
Right.
And then so he decides to go, and his wife too, and then she does it. What did you think at that point? Were you like, oh, you know?
Yeah, I kind of saw that coming. I was like, cause you can kind of see a little hesitancy in her face. I'm like, oh, she's not gonna do this. And then when she finally doesn't, like, that's a dick move. Because it's irreversible. Now he's 5 inches tall now, and you're like, later. I can relate to that one. I've been dumped pretty hard before, so it's like, all right, that makes sense. But just his, like, not knowing where to put his helpfulness.
And now he's in that world, you know, by himself, and his plans are all out the window now, right?
Right, exactly. He's in this giant mansion that is by himself now, and he's like,
like, well, you know, I know what that feels like. You know, even the meal that you're eating doesn't taste the same anymore, right? I mean,
exactly.
I mean, so, and then his crazy neighbor,
right? Who I love. He was so good in that.
Oh boy, that guy steals the show in everything he's in, huh?
Yeah, I think it's because of the way he talks. He has such a unique voice. You can't help but, like, focus and watch him. And he's very eccentric, but, like, smoldering about it. He's not like, but he's very, like, expressive, but very contained at the same time. I find him fascinating. I loved him in Django Unchained. So, but yeah, as a character, it's funny to see him, like, play, like, kind of a European party guy. I was like, this is awesome, man. This is great.
Right. You know the part where Matt Damon has sex with the lady on the boat, right? Yeah. And then the next morning, the guy's looking at him with that big old smile. I was like, that image is in my head still.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? You nailed that so hard. Like, huh? Yeah.
So that's really good. I don't know what it is. I don't even care about that, but it's just his acting is phenomenal.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. And although he is German, so being a European party guy, more of a method acting for him. You know what I mean? Like,
well, what was that? What was that in the? What did you say? European party guy?
Yeah, I'm saying he's the guy. Christoph Waltz is German.
Yeah,
and I'm sure, like, having to play a European party guy isn't too difficult. If you grow up in Germany, you see a lot of that anyway. If he isn't one, I don't know if he is or not, but I'm saying it's not too big of a stretch. But he nailed the character.
He did. He
absolutely nailed the character.
You remember in Django where he was like, he shoots Leonardo DiCaprio and he's like, sorry.
Yeah. So badly about it. Yeah, it was so good.
That was like my favorite. I was like, if that were me, I would have done the same thing. I was like, sorry. Right. I gotta do it. I gotta do that. You know? Yeah, and it shows why you don't do that too. But like Lord of the Rings, the way the movie starts off, where in the beginning they're going through a flashback and they went through this elaborate war, and then they're on top of the mountain, and then the guy's like, okay, we won the war. We finally won. Now throw the freaking ring. And the guy's like, no. And he's like, right there, I would have just tackled the guy, you know.
Right.
Yeah, but he doesn't. And I'm just like, it's not satisfying to me. But then seeing in Django where the guy just like, yeah, I was just like, oh, that's so satisfying. Finally a movie where he would do what I would have done. You know?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's for real. That was
I wouldn't like to sacrifice myself, but there are some moments where I feel like it's worth it.
Yeah, right?
Those are the moments. Yeah.
Awesome.
But okay. So let's talk about Dune. Now, Dune, 80s, right? 80s film.
Hardcore 80s.
Oh, did it test the time for you? Or
not for me, unfortunately. No. I mean, okay. Then again, I didn't see it in the 80s.
Okay.
So I only saw it in the year 2000, and then a few weeks ago.
Okay.
So a lot of movies that I never saw in the, like Goonies, I never saw in the 80s, and I saw as an adult. And to me, I'm like, that didn't hold up. But again, I don't have that reminiscent childhood, first-time kid bliss of a movie to kind of ground it in me. So to me, Dune did not hold up. But I heard there's a remake coming out.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that it will be what Blade Runner 2049 is to the original Blade Runner. Because to me, Blade Runner didn't hold up either. I saw what they were going for. It just wasn't for me because it's 30 years ago. But the new one I loved. I thought the new one was what the first one was trying to be.
I see.
So I'm hoping Dune has a similar thing. Like, I appreciate what Dune was going for.
Yeah.
But Lynch is pretty eccentric. And even for the 80s, I was like, man, this is a little wackadoo. It was entertaining. Like the interior monologue mixed with the normal monologue. And the fact that I know a lot of these actors now, it's just weird seeing like the guy from Twin Peaks again. I forgot his name right now.
Yeah.
And seeing him and then like a young the main princess lady is a famous actress now too.
Yes.
Like, holy, and then Captain Picard's in it.
Yeah.
All these random that kind of would throw me off too. I'm like, oh my God, no way, Captain Kirk or Captain Picard. So that kind of pulled me out of it as well.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that they really took a chance on going fully sci-fi.
Right.
Like floating weird warty dudes that are all bloated and stuff, like just weird shit was done. So I appreciate it, but I could see knowing again not seeing in the 80s and knowing what can happen now, I couldn't bridge the gap well.
Okay.
So that's probably my own fault for that one. But what did you think about it though?
Well, I saw it in the 80s.
Okay.
It scared the crap. I was too young. Right. And I think what happened to me, and also probably the producers and stuff, is they were told this is going to be the next Star Wars, right? So you're like, all right, I'm on board. I love Star Wars. All right. And it's not. It's not. You can't go in there thinking or expecting Star Wars. In fact, I think like the movie Krull or Flash Gordon is closer to Star Wars than Dune.
Right.
If anything, to me, Dune is like closer to Game of Thrones.
Big time, right? With the 4 competing families. And,
yeah. And I read the novel multiple times, and I think I've seen every version of the movie, like every edit. So after that, it's like if you don't know the backstory and stuff, it's kind of difficult, especially first couple of times of viewing, kind of difficult to understand what's really going on.
Yeah.
So, but if you once you understand all that, it's the story overpowers a lot of it. The story is brilliant. The story,
right.
If you understand the story, it's just as adrenaline rush as Star Wars. Like, you know, when they tell Luke, you know, come with me to, you know, Alderaan and learn the ways of your father, learn the ways of the Force, you know, like your father before you. That, yeah, and you get goosebumps, you know.
Right.
Stop being a farm boy, and there's a greater destiny for you, right? It's just as, you know, adrenaline rush as that, you know. He's the Messiah, right? Of this planet Dune and everything. So, I mean, it's an incredible story, but it's you know, there's a lot of politics. There's a lot of details to understand about each planet, each house.
Right. You know, and backstabbing and double crossing, and then like there'll be a witch, and then all of a sudden interior monologue. You're like, whoa, man, it was a lot.
Right. It's a lot to handle. It's too much, and it's a long movie, right? So
yes, it is.
Were you able to understand a lot of it?
Enough where I got the basic idea, and I kind of used the Game of Thrones. I'm like, oh, okay, there's 4 competing families in the Hadrons and the Who's house, and I'm like, okay, but I got a little convoluted on the back and forth. But finally, the exposition tells you like, oh, they're gonna betray him to go back to this to get this person to do that. So I was like, okay, you know, so that helped me out a little bit. But I'm sure if I went back and watched it again, I would get more subtleties and nuances of the interaction between the families and the politics.
So some of the things that would help you is like, for example, do you remember the bald-headed ladies, the Bene Gesserits, right? Those guys are they're a group, and they control all the gene manipulating. Okay. So they decide who marries who, what kind of kid they're going to have. They do all of that, right? And if you remember in the story, this is a big, huge point, is that the Duke, which is the main character's dad, right? This dude, he has a kid with his concubine. So it upset all that planning that they were, you know, they're doing this, so you guys, this house and this house will be friends. They can't fight each other. Right. But, you know, they did that, and it was the wrong, he produced a son, and instead of I think they wanted a daughter, and that daughter was supposed to be married off to, I think, the Harkonnen.
There you go, Harkonnen, thank you, right.
They ruined, because that was ruined, Paul, the main character, you know, he Kyle MacLachlan.
Right, yeah, Kyle MacLachlan, thank you.
Yeah, so he was you know, viewed almost kind of like as a bastard son, but so another thing they don't really tell you in the movie is he's supposed to be a hybrid of the house of the Duke's family, and then also Jessica, who comes from the Barons, the concubine, the Barons family. So he's a hybrid of Harkonnen and Atreides. So he's, you know, he's special, right? That kind of
he's Muggle blood, sure.
Yeah, because he has double blood right there, and then he has training from his mom to learn the Bene Gesserit ways, which is basically martial arts in the movie. And so he's learned that when normally only women learn that stuff. Guys aren't supposed to do that.
All right.
Yeah. So I guess guys just fight with weapons, you know. they fight differently. Yeah, like the knife and stuff, I guess, you know, and the guns and all that. But so yeah, so he's taught that, so it makes him extra different, and you see it helps him out obviously throughout the movie
for sure.
You know, and the other thing is, okay, so the dudes that came in that were like the guy in the tank, or the monster in the tank.
Yes.
Okay, so those dudes are the guild navigators, right? And those guys control, out of all the families, they control the basically folding of space. So they are your travel agency. If you piss them off, you're not going to get traveling privileges anymore. You know. So you need them to be able to travel. So you don't want to make them mad. So even that's why even the emperor was kind of like a little bit kind of had to listen to them and stuff, you know. And I guess another question that I got from people is that why whatchamacallit, all these families in line, why are they like battling with each other and stuff? And it was kind of like, and why do they have to do it in secret, right? And it's because they're all part of the same empire, right? And they're all royal houses. So the emperor's on top, but the rest is all there, you know, and they're all, I don't know if like, some people, I guess, like if you don't understand how the royal, like you have the king and then you have like all the royal houses and they're all trying to get in to the palace,
right?
Get in influence into the palace, but they're not enemies necessarily. I mean, they are enemies, but they're not. I mean, I guess it's like any other family. There's jealousy and there's competing, and you know,
sibling rivalry meets Game of Thrones.
Right there, you go. That
100%.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, they're not enemies, but they're not really friends because everyone's kind of vying for the spot. So they're kind of like, it's like Survivor. You know, a friend until I can stab you in the back and win.
Yeah,
right.
So that's where the subtlety and the traps come in and stuff.
Right.
And obviously, the Baron is incredibly ruthless.
At least.
Yeah, he was the big
bloated guy.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So, but yeah, so you know the politics going on there, but then also like the war strategies. You know how they got the Fremen. You know how those guys are experts in desert warfare, and they were using that to their advantage to fight against the emperor and the barons, man. Against like using worms and stuff and all that, you know.
Right, and then riding those worms at the end. That was crazy.
So that's awesome. That's like super awesome. The thing was the Sardaukar, which is the emperor's men, the special forces. Those guys are supposed to be like elite military. Like in the movie, you don't even like they just show them, and I think they even say I'll send like 5 legions of my elite, or the Sardaukar, but you just go, okay, whatever. In the book, they go into more detail and describe that those guys are from a prison planet where all they did was just fight, and only the strongest survived and became those guys.
Damn, so it's the best of the best of the best kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, damn. Well, I mean, the book was probably super enthralling.
Yeah. The book is excellent.
Right.
I think the movie did a really good job for how difficult it is to make something like that into a movie.
Fair enough. Right? I never read the book, so I really can't comment, but I know what you're talking about when you see something, you go, oh, that was a really good interpretation and well done, considering the volume it had to deal with. So
I think so.
Right. That makes sense. I can see that.
The internal monologue, you said it bothered you. For me, that was great.
I liked it, but it just kind of made me laugh sometimes. Again, I was being super critical, I realized, but just because like they were very slow scenes, and like Kyle MacLachlan would look very intensely and say a line, and then all of a sudden he kind of look off the side and he hears interior monologue go off, and then like I don't know, it just I didn't expect it, so I'm like, okay, if they spat it in there, it'd be great, but almost every shot was verbiage, interior monologue, long edit, cut. And I was like, oh. And that kind of just like was like, I think I'm used to faster edits now. Yeah, a lot of this is probably on me and my prejudices since the 30 years ago it was made. But I got caught up in that a little bit. I don't know why. It just made me giggle. And every time it happened, I was like, oh, man, all right. And I would lose my focus, and I kind of get pulled out of the movie. So,
so that's the editing there. That's interesting. For me, when they did that, it kind of went with the whole like we mentioned. There's a lot of back plotting and backstabbing and all that going on.
Right.
It showed the people doing it in their while they're doing, but it also kind of led to bigger things. So for me it made sense. But
yeah, no, I mean, it served a good purpose. I couldn't, for whatever reason, I just couldn't stop out of it. It's helpful, but it just pulled me out of them for whatever reason because I'm not used to it. I didn't expect it.
You don't see that in a lot of movies, you know?
You don't. That's why I'm not used to it. I was like, this is weird to me because it was foreign. I mean, I appreciate it, especially now that we've talked. I have a deep appreciation for the movie already, so thank you for that. But you rarely see that. It's kind of like they've either narrowed it down to them giving a look, or music tells you what is going on. Here, they literally were like, nope, here's what I'm saying, here's what I'm thinking. Next scene, like, got it. Okay, cool. So you were out. It was just, I guess there was a lot to process. Even like when they would fight and they put on those Tron cubes, that was dope. Back then, that was some high tech shit. I was like, that's amazing. That was really cool the way they did that. Yeah. And they brought it back full circle again. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah. Today, I don't even know how that would work, how it would look, you know. Right? Yeah. It'd probably have to be flashier and a 3D scene. Whatever. Gotta always have the 3D scene. So, yeah, I'm curious to see if they're going to remake it like, you know about that more than I do. Are they remaking it from the original, or is it kind of like a sequel rehash? No, I think it's they're redoing it from the beginning. And from my understanding, it's the director from the guy who did the new Blade Runner is doing it. Yeah. Oh, then yeah, that's even better because I literally made that comparison, not knowing that. That's brilliant. I thought you did. I thought that's why you brought it up. Wow, no, that was absolutely I had no idea. I just found out literally 2 days ago the Blade Runner is being remade. Okay. Oh, no, not Blade Runner. That Dune is being remade. Yeah. I was having a conversation about it because I was like, man, I don't. And the guy's like, oh, it's being remade. It's like, what? And I'm like, I hope it's as good as Blade Runner, but I didn't know that was by the same director. That's exciting. Man. I thought when I saw that Blade Runner, I thought it was Ridley Scott directed it. Was it? Yeah. It's not. It's not him. It's some European guy. I think French, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I could be wrong. Yeah. Right. Well, I can see why. I can see you thinking it's a Ridley Scott movie, though. I get that. Thought it was. I was like, I thought it was legit Ridley Scott. You know. Right. No, I can totally see that. Yeah, I didn't even question who directed. I was just so stoked on the visuals and the way they did it, and I was like, wow, man, this is like what they were trying to go for in the '80s. Yeah. I think but. And for me, I like the original better. I like the new one, but I like the original better. And you like the newer one better, right? Right. But I never saw the original in the 80s, though. I never saw it. So I'm seeing it 30 years past its initial release. And given where technology is, I was just like, oh, wow, it was slow. And I see what they were going for, but I didn't like the way it was presented a lot of the times. So that's why I like the second one better. It made more sense to me. But if I had seen the original in the 80s, I would have been about 13 at the time. It would have been like really amazing. But right now it's like, I don't know. I was too young at the time. I saw it in the 90s. Okay. I saw it in the 90s and I was like, this is what people were talking about. Because I remember people mentioning like Blade Runner was awesome. And I was like, I want to see it, but instead I was watching Arnold movies and Stallone movies, and that was perfect. It worked. It worked for me. Right. At that age, Sure. But in the 90s, I watched Blade Runner when like in high school, and I was like, damn, my jaw dropped to the floor kind of thing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Same with Dune, because like I said, in the 80s, it just I was too young, so. When I watched it in the 90s, then I started to get the appreciation. Yeah. Sure. I can see that. Yeah. So I think for this time, this is pretty good. Okay. I would think. And so next time, dude, so what? Do we got to talk about Blade Runner or what? Maybe, huh? I think at this point, maybe I should watch the original one again. Yeah, same here. Same here. Twice. But yeah, because having a lot of the same issues I had with the original Dune with Blade Runner. Okay, yeah, you might. The editing was strange. I didn't like the dialogue. I saw what they were going for, but didn't quite. But maybe after our conversation, after another conversation, I'll have a better appreciation for it, like I do Dune now. So we'll see. We'll see. So for Dune.
So yeah, so I think that puts us in a good spot to end this.
All right, sounds good.
Anyone who watched this long, thank you so much.
For real, thank you. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Wmpyr over and out.